a spy isn't as glamorous as I thought. But it isn't dull.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Live with Daniel, although this time it's Live with Daniel and DarthBobCat. Hello, DarthBobCat.
Hello, Daniel. Hello, everyone out there in Internet Radio Land.
Yes, hello, everybody. And want to thank DarthBobCat for doing this. I think he and we're going to try to make this a regular thing. Obviously, it depends on our schedules, but hopefully, every Tuesday night or so, we will be coming on and entertaining you all.
Or failing miserably, but still trying.
Yes. We will do our best. So before we get into too much into our topics, let's just do a little promotion for our stuff. And so let's start here with Angels Awakening. So right now it's at $16.50. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to the funding goal after the first 30 days. That's okay. But I think we'll get there. We're definitely going to get there. We're at $16.50. Just under 50 backers. We're at 47 backers. So obviously there's still some time to back this book if you haven't already. You can see obviously if you were watching at the beginning of the stream, you saw the wonderful trailer.
Yeah, who did you get to voice that?
That was Piper.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was Piper. And Caleb, who's also part of the graded 0.5 community, put that trailer together. So amazing, great job from both of them.
Yeah, very professional.
Yeah. So obviously, if you caught any of my promotional streams, or you caught the last stream I did, the tiers are all haven't changed at all. Featured tier, you can get all three covers. That's the main cover and the Virgin cover, both done by Bogdan, and of course the nice variant cover done by Carla Tornelia. And you can get a digital copy of the book as well. Perfect for people who are if you're international backer and you don't want to pay shipping, you can get a digital copy as well. You can get each copy separately if you want a separate copy of it. And of course, we can just see the sweet artwork here. The amazingly talented Bogdan.
Yeah, international shipping is a killer. I hadn't realized that before. I sold a signed copy to someone up in Canada, and it was like I charged him $50 for it because I knew it was going to be expensive, and I think I made a couple of dollars off of it when you factored in the book cost and the shipping and everything. It's like just absurd.
Yeah, it really is. Canada. That doesn't make any sense. It's just right up it's right on top of us.
Well, I remember from your boy Zach's stuff that he had the most. He had some of the most returns or issues up in Canada for some reason. Their postal service is apparently not gentle with things.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I mean, of course, also too, you can get this glorious pinup poster here with a copy of the book, or you can get the poster with all three covers. And this is still available, by the way. If anybody has got some extra cash, you can get an original artwork done by Bogdan. You can get yourself or somebody you know drawn into a traditional art piece with Jessica.
I will say, if I had $500 just sitting around burning a hole in my pocket, that would be tempting.
Yeah. Yeah, if I wasn't the creator of this comic book, I would probably get that.
Yeah, that would probably be against the rules of Indiegogo.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's obviously, like I said, this I have no doubt this book is going to get funded. So, but yeah, I mean, for those of you out there, if you haven't backed it yet, you still have time.
And if you're a filthy weeb like me, get the Italian manga mama manga cover.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Italian mama manga.
The Italian mama manga.
Italian manga mama. Italian manga mama. That's a tongue twister.
Yes, that is. Yeah, there's part of it. Well, let me show the full cover here, and it's right there.
There's that 80s anime shine.
Yeah, gotta love it. All right, so that is Angel's Awakening. Now let's. Oops. All right, now let's show off. Oh, it's not doing it. Okay. And then I'm totally professional here, folks.
And then the little Spanish flea, and so he hid inside a doggy from Madrid.
Okay.
So, yeah, apparently there are words to it. Thank you, Simpsons, for adding another useless fact into my brain.
Yeah. That's always nice.
Yep.
All right, so Confessions of the Magpie Wizard.
Yep. That's my book series, light novel influenced with a healthy heaping of C.S. Lewis and the Flashman Papers, which is basically about a half-demon spy who stuck around, but it's not like he liked humanity or anything, Baba.
Mhm.
It was just easier that way. No, he didn't turn good. No, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've got book one here, and then of course there's also book two.
With covers made by the great Olivia over on Fiverr, out of assets made by an artist named Grand Failure. Very international production because it's an anime-influenced thing about a fake British guy with a cover made by a Ukrainian woman out of art assets by a guy from Vietnam. So
all over the place here. It is very international.
Yep.
Sort of like me. I have a Romanian artist, and I got an Italian, and I don't know what other nationality she is, but Carla, who's on the variant cover. So yeah, I know a little bit about that.
Yep. Well, I think that's enough shilling for now.
Yes.
So for tonight's topic, we were talking about the rise of the Mary Sue.
Oh yes. We all know. Most of you probably know what a Mary Sue is, but if you need a little refresher, a Mary Sue is a character in fiction. Can be a woman, sometimes maybe a man, but it's usually associated with a woman. And this particular character is perfect in every way. She can do nothing wrong. Everything comes to her easy, and everybody loves her.
Yep, and yeah, it's kind of interesting how the term is kind of batted around a few times, because originally it used to be strictly for fan fiction, and then the trouble was that you started having franchises where people could suddenly start adding their own characters, and so it became professional fan fiction.
Yeah. So obviously the most obvious reference, or the most obvious example, Star Wars.
Right.
Rey.
Apparently you also have an author has added their own DeviantArt Ninja Turtle to the Ninja Turtle group and is now is a fifth Ninja Turtle named Jenica in the IDW comics. But before we start getting into specific examples, let's take one thing out of here. A Mary Sue is not a female character who is good at things. I see that like people get kind of too loose with their definitions sometimes. I don't think that anybody dislikes female characters who are good at things. If you do, you're kind of a jerk. But that's,
yeah.
like you can absolutely have a female main character who is like the best pilot in the fleet, or you could have the best Jedi at the Academy be a woman, or you could have, there is absolutely nothing stopping you. And also Mary Sue's can be dudes too. Like here's another key example, Kirito from Sword Art Online. Now, I know many people love that series. I have no problem with you if you love that series, but when you have a guy like that, that's actually an interesting point too. You can slip into being a Mary Sue, because the hallmark of Mary Sue is not gender. The hallmark of the Mary Sue is a complete lack of meaningful obstacles in your life.
Yeah, that's very true. They don't. Yeah, you don't have any sort of life-changing thing that you have to deal with. It's just
Yep, and that's where it's. That's where you want to get away from. That's where you don't. How to play this? You don't want to have your Mary Sue radar on or calibrated too exactly, because I've seen YouTubers like No Bullshit, I think, is a good example of that, who are just to this sort of such a hair trigger point. Yeah, woman who's good things in a movie. Mary Sue.
Yeah, because not to get back to my own work, but I mean, Jessica Sawyer is good at things, and she's not a Mary Sue. But but yeah, so like, let's stick with Rey for now. So you have a character who's, she's a pilot. She knows the Millennium Falcon better than the guy who'd owned that ship and piloted it for decades. She uses the Force very easily with no training at all. Can use a lightsaber with no training at all.
And let's see here. She can force heal in the third movie, which isn't a skill that's been seen outside of video games, really.
Right. Although it did show up in The Mandalorian with Baby Yoda.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it was in there.
And so if we tolerate it from Baby Yoda, we have to tolerate it from Rey.
Yes. I think that episode aired, or that episode dropped on Disney Plus, like right around the same time that movie was released.
A few weeks in advance. I heard some conspiratorial-minded people going, "Aha! They added that to the Mandalorian to justify Rey," and it's like, calm down, Doomcock.
Yeah, Doomcock.
Was it Doomcock? It was someone like him.
Yeah, it probably was him. Yeah, Doomcock is the Alex Jones of the Phantom Menace.
Yes, entertaining at times, but you can't really take anything he says too seriously until it's confirmed.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I can't tell you how many times he predicted that Star Trek Discovery was canceled.
Yeah.
And yet we're on season 4 now.
Yeah. And how many times he predicted Kathleen Kennedy was going to be fired, and she's still there.
I mean, technically, she will be fired someday.
Yeah, someday. Well, that woman she's my parents' age. She's 67, almost 68 years old. You would think at some point she would say, "Okay, yeah, I've done this stuff long enough. I want to retire."
Well, that's an interesting question. Once you hit a certain level of success, you almost don't know what to do with yourself without it.
That's true.
So to kind of loop back around to Rey.
Yes.
Now here's kind of what's interesting about that is that it isn't necessarily what Rey can do in and of itself that makes her Mary Sue. you could actually have a character who could do all those things. You would just have to establish better why she could do those things.
Right. And
Like,
they didn't do a very good job with that.
well, what are you talking about? In the novelization, she downloaded her force powers from Kylo when he was trying to Jedi mind force her. That was in the novelization of The Last Jedi. Those poor novelists trying to spackle the holes in the wall.
Oh, jeez. So is this? So are the novelizations like paid DLC? Like
They kind of are.
I have to read the books to know what's going on in the movie.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez. But yeah, and throwing in the fact that she's Palpatine's granddaughter, that just didn't work well at all.
Yeah. So, and let's just see on that last part, because it isn't so much the competence; it's the fact that the universe doesn't show her any meaningful resistance.
Right.
So when I was a young boy, I read the Star Wars novels, and they did a better job than the movies. Well, okay, to be fair, they never really had an opportunity to touch on that in the original movies, but they did a good job of dealing with the fact that Leia and Luke, everybody looked at them kind of funny because they were Darth Vader's kid.
Right.
Like I remember that when I think it was the Black Fleet Crisis series and I could just feel my glasses growing tape between the lenses as I speak. But in the Black Fleet Crisis books, you had they were commissioning a new fleet to protect some sector, and you had a senator saying, "Oh, well, Darth Vader's daughter is the prime minister of the New Republic, and she's making a new fleet. What a coincidence!" And that was Borsk Fela, who was like the world's or the galaxy's. Like, if you needed a shyster villain to be in the New Republic government, it was always Borsk. But anyway, so, and this is, J.J. Abrams has admitted he had no plan. But if you're going to have a character be the daughter of Ultra Space Hitler, or granddaughter of Ultra Space Hitler, that should be a thing that should impact the plot in some way.
Yeah, you would think.
Like, you could have it be that people should look at her funny.
Yeah.
When, maybe Finn should not trust her as much.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have more hint that she could fall to the dark side than the one scene of alternate Dark Ray. Right. But that would require things like planning.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then that would make her flawed.
Right. That would be the problem. Those darned pesky flaws.
Yeah. Darn it.
Can't have that.
No, can't have a strong female character have flaws.
Yeah, it's a strange thing where, for some people, they can't separate like they think of people of a particular group as an amorphous blob, and if you say that one person has a flaw, you're saying that all people have that flaw.
Right. Yeah, it's that collective mindset of like you say, if one person is like that, then they must all be like that. Like, no, and that's obviously we've kind of seen a lot of that seen a little bit of that lately with certain publications and certain people who are not treating their paying customers very well.
Yeah. And, I could. There's this. How to put this? The sad thing is that every Mary Sue plot is basic. It's almost like somebody ignoring that there is a plot staring them in the face.
Yeah. This is a good point.
Like a plot where it turns out that a mysterious hero finds out that she's the granddaughter of Palpatine could be an entire trilogy in and of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right, Servant of God 777. Thanks for commenting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's when you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah.
I can tell you that every time I've ever written without any actual objective, I always make so much more work for myself in the end. And with movie series, you can't go like I do and go, well, there's still time before I officially publish on Kindle. It's time to do some revisions. No, this is crap. 2 movies came out, made a collective $2 billion before this third movie came out. Is it too late to do a special edition? Yes, it's too late to do a special edition.
Yeah. 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 It's oh yeah, and you know, I will say, like, with the first movie, you know, or with the Force Awakens, like, I was willing to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt,
Hmm.
that to see, just kind of wait and see, okay, well, where are they going to go with it? And then The Last Jedi came out, and I'm like,
Yeah, like Daisy Ridley is a charismatic actress who is good at portraying a sort of soulful quality that makes it very easy to like her.
yeah,
That's what people like about Rey is probably not what's on the page. It's probably Daisy and okay. So sidebar: did you end up shipping Rey with Finn? Did
I mean, kind of, yeah, because I mean, just based on the way Finn acted around her when they first met, I
yeah.
mean,
Like what I just thought was so funny was anybody still shipping Ray with Rose after, or not Ray with Rose,
oh,
Finn with Rose,
right,
because it's like Rose kissed him awkwardly and he clearly was not into it. Ray showed up and he just hugged her, and that was like that was like a okay, there's something going on between these two.
yeah, and yeah, it was. I mean, it was pretty obvious from the first time they met, like, how much he liked her.
Yeah.
You know.
Can you imagine the alternate universe where we got the structural competence of the prequels with the acting and budget of the sequels?
Mm,
Oh well.
yeah. Yeah,
But
they needed more time to come up with something.
right, that I think that might have been their biggest problem ultimately was that they spent $4 billion in Lucasfilm and they said we gotta make good on that investment now, 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 now.
Yeah.
And when the smart thing to do would have been, hey guys, here's your Blu-ray edition of the non-special edition Star Wars stuff. Here's we're commissioning EA to make remasters of all the classic Star Wars games, just to remind you of everything that's great.
Yeah.
And then you use that time and money to develop your movie series.
Yeah. And make the expanded universe canon.
I love the expanded universe. I think the trouble is that they got around to making the movies too late for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the expanded universe had Luke and Leia and Han 20 years younger than they would be starting in the 2010s, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah.
Like I did think about it, like when would you have had to start the expanded universe? And you basically would have had to like be making movies by the early 90s.
Yeah. Well, the other thing they could have done, and it probably wouldn't have been a very popular decision, was cast younger actors to play the characters.
Right. I can't, I just see that going over like a lead balloon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and it didn't go very well with Solo.
Yeah, it's you, yeah, I can't fault any of the actors in Solo. Solo just had kind of a nothing script.
Yeah, and of course they changed directors, and you know.
Yeah, I can't wait for the behind the scenes documentaries about this era of Star Wars in about 10 years or so when the NDAs have expired.
Oh yeah, everybody's like, Kathleen Kennedy was a freaking idiot. She didn't know what she was doing.
Right. We got sacked when we were 90% done with the movie, as though we hadn't been sending progress reports.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now to kind of drift back to the Mary Sue topic
Mary
a little
Sue.
bit.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I have this pet theory of mine about where or why we have so many Mary Sue stories around these days.
Mhm.
And part of it is that So actually, I have two pet theories. One is that it's the rise of video games as a major medium that a lot of people are exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that'll dovetail into the second part of the theory. So the first part of it is think about Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Master Chief does have a bit of a personality, but how easy is it to completely ignore that and just like you're your first person, you're the cool guy with the gun who everybody's always praising. Maybe you drop the occasional one-liner, but you're not like seeing his you're not seeing his inner struggle or anything like that.
Right.
Halo 4 kind of dipped into that, but that's just because he was worried about Cortana losing her mind, which, in my opinion, that was some good stuff there.
Yeah.
But for at least the first game, it's just like you are a big, strong Marine guy. You kill aliens and don't afraid of anything.
Yeah.
So if that's what you mostly consume, when you get the idea in your head at some point to start writing, it wouldn't necessarily occur to you as intuitively, oh, a main character needs to have some struggle.
Right.
Because you don't think of struggle in terms of this is something I have to overcome. It's more like, well, here's level 3.
Yeah.
Time to go find the cheat.
Yep.
Which goes into the next thing, which is a lot of really successful fiction has Mary Sue characters in their context, because it's very easy for the audience members to project themselves into that character.
Right.
Like, especially in a visual medium. I've read some of the light novels of Sword Art Online. Kirito comes off much better when you can actually see his inner monologue than if you're just watching him. Because in his inner monologue, and just actually, just because I can't assume that most people here have seen Sword Art Online, Sword Art Online is basically it's what we have to blame for isekai becoming so popular. It's about a guy who is playing this virtual reality video game, and he and 2,000 other people get stuck in the game. And so it's his adventures trying to free the world or free all these people from inside the game. And so, like, I was struck when I was reading the novel that he was actually like afraid and worried fairly frequently, and but he didn't really have to struggle because he overleveled himself. And Isekai kind of like lays out the whole Mary Sue thing so clearly. It's like, yeah, I'm not here for a struggle. I want to read about a guy I want to read about a teenage Japanese guy, or maybe a salaryman, magically turned young, who has hot babes after him, is good with all the swords, and maybe has some awesome magic powers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want there to be enemies, but I don't want them. I want enemies that he can beat. You shouldn't be too worried about Hiro-kun.
Yes. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because if you think about, and if I think about a lot of the fantasies I had when I was a kid, that sounds a lot like that. Just you're the or the character you create. They're the best in the world, and everybody loves them, and they they can it's their life is tough, but not that tough, and
right.
they don't.
Or it used to be tough, but in ways they can overcome.
Right.
Like, oh, my mother is so mean to me. Oh well, I'm guessing in this fantasy world, so it doesn't matter anymore.
Right. Yeah. Oh.
And so it's kind of the mark of an immature sort of storytelling. And I did it. I'm sure you did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did that when I was a kid, and then when I got older, I realized that that's not very good storytelling.
Right. And it's not like to be a Mary Sue, your character has to be miserable or to avoid being a Mary Sue. Ooh, got another backer. Nice.
Got another backer. Yeah, that would be Servant. Thank you very much, Servant. I appreciate that.
Excellent.
Awesome. Yeah. So So anyway, you were saying?
Right. So it's not like your character has to be miserable all the time. Homer Simpson is not a Mary Sue.
Right.
And it's also kind of contextual. Spider-Man in the Dragon Ball Z world would be a very weak character. Put Spider-Man in a medieval fantasy and he'd, or just like a medieval setting, and he'd be god tier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's that's very true. Yeah. Didn't sorry to skid talk here, but wasn't there a story arc with Iron Man in Camelot?
I didn't read it, but it sounds like something they would do. That'd be a cool idea.
I think they might have done that.
To do a little bit Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court. Have him make some tech.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Go back to the Sword Art Online. The other part of it too with Kirito is like you said, he's just ridiculously overpowered in that series, and to top it all off, he's got this absolute babe of a girlfriend.
Yeah, and he's got one of every type of girl who wants him. He's got his half sister, who's his cousin, actually, I think.
Yes, his cousin. Yeah.
But his cousin, who's like a sister to him.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the underage girl who's like 12 but seems to be into him. You've got the kind of brassy, that pardon the pun, blacksmith girl.
Right.
I think the author once said that he had admitted in an interview that he could not write a female character without having them fall in love with Kirito.
I can kind of understand that.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, if you look at the sales rank of, actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and pull up Amazon again. Let's see what the current sales rank of Sword Art Online's first volume is. I'm curious.
All right. Yeah, let's do that. Sword Art Online.
I'm currently sitting in the 500,000s, but that's because I'm not doing any promotion right now.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Volume, if my browser will load here. Okay, here we go. All right. So let me share the screen here.
And for a little bit of inside baseball, the Kindle ranks, I was in the 50,000s when I had sold 12 books over the course of 3 days. Wow. So you don't have to necessarily have that many sales to be too out there. Let's go ahead and switch over to Kindle just so we're comparing apples and apples to apples here.
Apples to apples. Okay. All right.
So scroll down a little bit.
Come on. As I said before, my computer's not being great. Okay, so it's at 134.
Yeah. Yep. And so if we look at the absolute rank, I was higher than that last week.
Wow.
But that I guarantee you they aren't paying heavily into advertising for a book that's 4 years old. No. So that's just them resting rate, probably selling 2 or 3 Kindle books every few days, to say nothing about manga and physical copies and everything else. So there's clearly a market out there for Mary Sue's, or else people wouldn't keep doing it. Right.
Yeah, and and obviously going back to people seem to be more forgiving of that type of character in anime, I think, than in like Western fiction. Am I mistaken?
I think so. I think you're right, and I think it's because of it's kind of an interesting thing where a lot of these light novel series actually come out of, because most of these light novel series, it doesn't go with the traditional publishing model where writer sits down and bangs out a manuscript, sends it over to Kodansha or whoever. Kodansha accepts or receives it, or accepts or rejects it. What usually happens is it's a lot more like websites in the West, like Royal Road or Scribble Hub, which I publish on, so I have a little bit of insight there. So anybody can just make a Royal Road account, and if they get approval, just start publishing fiction there. And because of that, you have basically no filter. You get some really fun, interesting stuff. You get some stuff that's sort of borderline. You get stuff that's just god awful.
Yeah.
And so just like a huge deluge. Now, what gets to the top of the list isn't necessarily what's the best. It's what the audience is most interested in. So like Scribble Hub has a very LGBTQ friendly audience. So that stuff tends to raise to the top, particularly if it's like isekai mixed with gender bending. Like that's just an interesting quirk of that website. If you are on Royal Road, oh god, do they love Gamelit? They love Gamelit, no struggle stuff like Kirito so much.
Mm-hmm.
So my understanding of anime is that websites like, or publishers like Kodansha maintain these websites, and then they offer publishing deals to the ones that seem to be the most popular and they see some room for growth out of. So it's you're basically seeing, you're almost getting like exactly tailor-made for the audience they're expecting to get. So you get stuff like Sword Art Online. You get stuff, although interestingly, fun Sword Art Online story. He wrote the first book as a single light novel for a light novel contest, and then it was rejected for being too long for the contest. So then it was just published up there. He left it alone for a while, and then he started having some success with the Excel World novels. And the publisher said, "Well, you have this light novel from back in the day. Why don't we publish that? Who'd want to read that?" And then it became an international phenomenon.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, I admit I got into I was into SAO for a little while, and then after the movie, I kind of lost interest.
Right, and I would almost call Mary Sue fiction sort of comfort food to an extent. Does that sound right? Like
Yeah.
It's not going to challenge you. You're going to see some attractive babes or buff guys if you're into that.
Yeah.
You're going to see people will just be having fun with each other, and it'll just be a good time. You'll have the guy. There'll be some cool fight scenes, maybe. And oh man, I love the SAO theme songs. Like I don't even watch the show, but Lisa is so great.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I like her songs. Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, she did one for Fate Zero.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, and so it's so I guess here's the thing. Like, if Lucasfilm had made a series of 3 movies called Ray's Space Adventure, and it had been about a girl who, just totally unique science fiction franchise, there would be way less criticism than there is now, where she basically derailed, or the love of Ray derailed a franchise.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if they had just honestly, I think if they had just done like separate movies as opposed to doing episodes 7, 8, and 9, they might have been better off.
At the very least, it's not like they. So I think they made Iron Man with some seeds in there for future movies, but if let's say Iron Man had been a modest success or been a flop or something like that, you would have hit the end of the movie. There would have been the thing with Nick Fury, but that would have been the only real overly concerned setup with making a movie series.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to make it's hard to go into a movie series intending to make a movie series.
That's true. Yeah, because you because you don't know if it's that movie's going to be successful or not, and you don't know if it's going to resonate with people.
I think they tried 2 different movies to make the Dark universe work over at Universal before they finally gave up on it.
Yeah. Well, it gets me to, and you look at Marvel, like the second movie in the MCU was The Incredible Hulk. That movie didn't do very well.
No, as I recall from back in the day, it was a mild loss that probably made it up on Blu-ray and DVD and streaming and things like that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's probably likely. Yeah, and then they did Iron Man 2, and then that movie did really well.
Yep. And Captain America and Thor were actually modest successes.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the Avengers brought it all together that, which actually kind of surprised me at the time, because it was like, well, you had Iron Man that was big, and you had Thor that was a mild loss, then you had Thor and Captain America, which they kind of ended up making the same amount of money as one another, just in different markets.
Yeah.
Like Thor was bigger overseas, Captain America was bigger in America, as I recall, which makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And then the Avengers landed and became $1 billion movie. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I guess all those. I still don't get how that happened on some level, but it's still weird to me that people know who Iron Man is. On some level.
Yeah. Because he was very obscure for decades until they did the movie.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine the alternate universe where Marvel still had the movie rights to Spider-Man and X-Men? They would probably right about now be making their first Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
In terms of relative success.
Yeah, that's very likely. Yeah.
It wouldn't be Kamala Khan in Phase 4. Be, I guess we can finally make an Iron Man movie.
Yeah. Oh, Kamala Khan. Oh, God.
I want to like Kamala Khan. I really do, but I just can't.
No. Yeah.
Incidentally, Kamala is a good example of a character who you don't have to be a Mary Sue to have a bad story, because it isn't so much that she has no. It's not like she's the most amazingest superhero ever who makes everybody else look bad. That's Captain Marvel's job.
Yeah.
Kamala is more just like, hey, we're going to basically make a Disney sitcom starring a superhero, and we'll occasionally have a little bit of danger. Not a lot of danger, a little bit of danger, just a touch.
Yeah.
Which, frankly, I think that her Disney Plus show is going to be a great adaptation of the comic books.
Yeah. It'll probably have like you said, one of those Disney Channel, have a Disney Channel feel to it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, which no shame. It's there are people who I know, some adults who watch those Disney Channel things partially to keep up with the kids, like their teachers, but it's also just kind of like comfort.
Yeah.
It's something you can watch. You can be mildly amused, and see, I think that's the thing, is that people a lot of times will use like Mary Sue as that's the worst thing a character could possibly be. No, there's worse things you can be than a Mary Sue. Mary Sue is one of the most boring things you can be.
Yeah. What's worse, being a horrible character or being a boring character?
I would say boring. A horrible character can stick with you.
Yeah. Yeah, boring character. You're like, you don't remember them. Yeah.
Right. Or what's really funny is the characters who are horrible, but nobody, including the author, seemed to realize that they're horrible. Like
Right.
those are an unintentional gold mine. You could figure out how to write villains based on watching some badly made Mary Sue-ish type fiction.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, jeez. So, to kind of talk, maybe a little segue here. So, like with Mary Sue characters, like you could almost say they're like an idealized version of somebody, what somebody wants to be, or somebody they want in their life. Like a friend or a lover or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Right, because the Mary Sue, who wouldn't want to live with no challenges for a while?
Right.
The answer is, well, you'd go insane eventually, because you get so bored that you might end yourself, even if you were living in luxury. But I find that there's a reason that, like, the people who seem to have the worst drug problems are either the very poor and downtrodden, or the exceptionally wealthy and bored.
Yeah, like Hunter Biden.
Yes, and that will be that will be our political commentary.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, this. I don't want to. I don't want to talk about smoking Parmesan cheese. Uh, yeah, yeah. But but yeah, like to go back to like to go back to Sao with Kirito and I'll throw Asuna in there. They're kind of like actually I had a friend who was really into Sao too, and he really got wrapped up in that relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, and the first book slash first season of the TV show did a good job with it. Like she wasn't immediately into him. She actually was like kind of standoffish. They were both kind of top tier fighters. It was just weird that they got married and he kept adding waifus to the series.
Yeah.
Like, no, you've mixed things up. See, if you have the harem series, you first introduce all of the people, then you slowly winnow it down until you marry the waifu. No, bad.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's and then yeah, you have to have all of the girls at the same time, and then he's got to decide who the best girl is.
Right, exactly. And it's a process, not you reversed it. Although I can tell you why he reversed it, because he wrote the first book without intending to make a series out of it.
Right. Yeah, he had no plan.
Yes, which meant that he failed, or he succeeded. It's critical failure, artistic failure, and monetary failure are all different flavors of failure that can be completely unrelated to each other.
Yes. Yes, you could fail at creating something spectacularly, yet still make a lot of money.
Right. It's all a matter of distribution.
Yes.
Like I firmly believe that America Chavez could probably sell 100,000 copies if you gave that comic book a wide enough distribution. It just wouldn't be impressive, because if you were giving America Chavez that distribution, Spider-Man would be selling 2 million copies. But that's
yeah.
That's neither here nor there. But yeah, to kind of go back to the whole waifu thing, which I see the segue you're doing there. It's kind of like the waifu is like the inverse of the Mary Sue, where it's like the Mary Sue is the focal character of things, and nothing bad happens to them. Where the waifu is like the character that you want to be with, in theory.
Right. Yeah, it's all the personal taste in a woman.
Yep, which is why like I used to get kind of I would get like upset, like, oh man, he didn't go for the girl that I would go for. But then I hit a certain point and I started going, okay, DB, that's the character that you would go for.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have a good personality with him. She's always awkward whenever she's around him. That's not going to work. He should go with go with the author's plan. She should be like, if this is a romance story, the author typically will find the best pairing, at least from a storytelling perspective. Now you can have your personal favorites still, but it's just, I don't get upset about that anymore.
Yeah. I don't either. Yeah. It's like you said, it's whoever the guy is most compatible with, not necessarily who you want them to be with, or who you like. Yeah.
Which is why you can kind of tell the average age of a fan base based on how angry people get about shipping.
Yes.
Like, did you ever watch the anime Darling and the Franxx?
No.
I can't say I recommend it, but it was this mecha show that was done by Studio Trigger. So, of course, it ended with secret aliens in space. Studio Trigger. What are you going to do? But there were like two sort of romantic interests for the main character. And when the one that nobody liked kissed him at the end of an episode, the actress got death threats.
Oh,
It's like you are so many stages removed from her having responsibility for it.
yeah, that's not her call. That's that never makes any sense. Like it doesn't never makes sense to do something like that. But also, you're directing your animosity to the wrong people. Not that I'm saying send death threats to anybody, but
Daniel Parker only endorses death threats against writers and directors. Leave the actors alone.
Oh, geez. Somebody's going to clip that. But
yeah, it happens in real life soap operas too. So apparently some people just get angry and can't disassociate the actor from the role they play.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. Sorry to skid talk a little, but I do remember like Malcolm McDowell when after Star Trek Generations came out, like he was getting death threats because his character killed Captain Kirk.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Malcolm McDowell isn't with us anymore, right?
No, he's still alive.
Oh, is he? Oh,
yeah. I want to say he's probably like late 70s or early 80s. Yeah. He
was Hollywood's favorite British villain for a while there.
Yeah. After Clockwork Orange, which I have not seen that movie. I don't, and that's only half the story. I don't care to see it.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what else he's been in.
Oh, that's right. Dennis Hopper is the one who died. He was the other favorite '90s villain.
Right. Yeah. Dennis Hopper. God, that was like. God, he passed away like 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah. But so enough of. So, anyways.
Yeah.
It's like it's a related phenomenon. Like I think there's definitely something there connecting the whole waifu thing with the whole self-insert thing, because either way it's like it's projecting yourself into fiction in a way that isn't consuming the fiction the way it's actually with the light novel stuff they're probably consuming it exactly the way they want you to.
Yeah,
it's like, look, we made the character as bland and as interesting as we could, so you, the average Japanese teenager / salaryman, depending on the series, can imagine that you're Kirito, and we gave him a cool girlfriend who was basically designed to be what every Japanese boy wants to take home to his mom to meet.
Uh-huh.
So enjoy the fantasy and then go back to working your 20-hour days. Yes. Yes, Kodansha.
Yes, yes. Go back and work until you die and die at your desk at the age of massive heart attack at the age of 42.
If you make it that long, yeah.
Yeah, or mid 30s.
Yeah, that's. And it's kind of. I do think it's telling that isekai is the genre that the Japanese are telling right now, because stories either show you something you want or something you need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I can't help but notice that all these stories are about what if my video games were real?
Yeah.
Or what if I could go somewhere where I didn't have a horrible office job?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Or you end up was Konosuba, where you end up dying and then you're sent to another alternate reality.
Yeah, and if you ever want to figure out what Konosuba is parodying, the answer is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
I've heard of that one. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
I would put it firmly in the category of fun enough to watch, but you're not going to get a deep story.
Mm.
It's kind of, I would say it's like a tick better than Sword Art Online, but just a tick.
Mm.
But it's just kind of, and I think the problem is that it's almost like the stories are being used as a release valve for something that would really be solved better by hitting the gym a few times a week and dating.
Yeah. Yeah,
which,
that's yeah.
which I say being guilty of being well, let's just say my avatar is not accurate.
Yeah, I could stand to lose a few pounds myself. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just it's like people like to avoid struggle, and it's and the Mary Sue slash waifu fiction is a way to escape from that.
Yeah, it's the ultimate escape.
Yep.
Yeah, it's which is nice in small doses, but but everyone's got to get back to the real world, and everybody's got to live their life.
Yep. Which this went a much more melancholy direction than I was expecting.
I know.
Uh, well, well, it's because I said to myself early on, you know what? There's enough angry videos about Mary Sue's online.
Yeah.
It's there's a reason for the phenomenon, and there's a reason that people keep buying it, and it isn't always because they've hijacked Star Wars to destroy Western civilization.
Yeah.
I'm Doomcock.
Yeah.
Subscribe and buy my mug.
Yeah.
I don't know what that voice was. I think I was originally going Alex Jones, and I changed directions.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Doomcock. Yeah.
Listen, the Mary Sues have seized control of Star Wars to destroy Western civilization and all that you hold dear. Only you can stop it by not taking your money to Disney, but instead funding my Patreon.
Yes. Buy my merch. Yeah.
Like, share, and subscribe. Western civilization is done.
Yes. The world's going to hell in a handbasket. Like and subscribe.
I'm half Asian. A civil war is on the way.
Sign up to Timcast. Sign up to timcast.com.
This beanie is on too tight.
YouTube demonetized my channel. Buy my mugs.
I keep saying inflammatory, factually untrue stuff. Facebook is suppressing me. Buy my join Mug Club.
Yes.
Yeah. At least I'm glad I didn't start doing any sort of writing or streaming or whatever. Like, can you imagine where we would be today if we had launched our stuff at the height of Comicsgate? I know me. I would have been enthusiastically making my Indiegogo pages at the time with like, oh, the SJWs hate you, so get this comic book of Throat Puncher Extreme.
Yes.
So, trying to be 90s comics.
Yeah. Yeah. SJWs don't like sexy women. Buy my comic book.
I promise you many sexy women.
Yes. Scantily clad in tight costumes.
Yep. Which, here's the thing. Angel's Awakening. You should all back it.
Yes.
But there's more going on there than the sexy outfit. And I think that's the difference, is that from what I have seen, now I cannot say that I have read it because I'm still waiting on my copy, of course. But it's I've talked with Daniel about this. There's a story there. There's struggle. You can see her getting blasted by a big gout of water. You can see her having to fight people on motorcycles. You can see her getting shot at. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, see.
And if it was sunshine and rainbows, it'd be because there'd be some sort of rainbow elemental that was blasting her with multicolored lights.
Yes.
Is that a thing in your universe? Could there be a rainbow elemental?
No. No, that's only half the story. I wouldn't want there to be one.
This is the worst Pride Month ever.
I know. I know we're kind of near the end of the hour, but that's another thing too. Like when we were talking about like shipping, when you have all these people who are always shipping like same-sex couple, same-sex characters that are not, they're not, actually in relationships. They're either they're either really good friends or they absolutely hate each other, yet people still want them to get together.
Yeah, there's a line that from the movie Demolition Man, a great work of cinema,
Oh yeah.
that goes through my head sometimes, which was Sandra Bullock talking with Stallone's character. Well, we just had a violent encounter, and the parts of the brain that are related with violence and sex are very closely related to each other. So let's have sex.
No, yeah.
or however the line went. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's like people just assume, oh, you're fighting, so that must mean you want to secretly screw off camera.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I can see that now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also just what I find amusing is that the only people I know who still really talk about series like RWBY on a regular basis, anybody who is interested in the plot has long since abandoned it, except for some sort of like self-assigned, well, I guess I'm going to see how this train wreck finishes derailing.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are the most active, fan artists who love to lewd the characters in every way possible.
Yeah.
So it's like, I swear that there's a certain percentage of every fandom online. You go, wow, there's so much fan art being made of these VTubers and of RWBY and of all these other series. No, you just found artists. You just gave artists a new source of money and commissions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And none of that is going back to you.
Nope.
Which is why it's best to make your own series with your own waifus, with blackjack and hookers, and no hookers actually.
No hookers.
unless that's a type of series you're doing, in which case you better be ready for some controversy.
Yes. All right. Well, I think we've exhausted this topic.
Yep. So in conclusion, you like isekai anime because you're depressed. Go clean your room.
Yes. as Jordan Peterson would say.
I feel like the Air Force should fly over Japan, like get some of those old B-17 bombers out of mothballs and just fly over and drop a whole bunch of 12 Rules for Life over Tokyo and just watch the birth rate double in a year.
Yes. There you go. We just solved the declining birth rate in Japan.
Much more efficient than sending Micah over there.
Yes. Yeah. And Micah's only one man, and he'll get tired. So
Right, you'll have to take breaks occasionally. Meanwhile,
Yes.
the Jordan Peterson method.
Yes.
Well, this was a lot of fun. I had so some things clicked as we were talking, so that's always a good sign.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I had a lot of fun too. I hope everybody watching had enjoyed watching us. So as we close out, I just have to say, let me just add it here. Back Angels Awakening, if you haven't already. And
if you already have a copy, get one for your cat.
Yes. And also too, maybe there's got to be an easier way to do this. And if you haven't already, go check out Confessions of the Magpie Wizard.
So great that Amazon couldn't load it as quickly as a fully graphical page.
Yes. So yes, links to both my book and Bobcat's books are in the description, as well as in the in the chat. Once again, thank you, Bobcat, for coming on again.
Yep, I had a good time.
Yeah, and obviously, and as I said, we're going to try to make this a weekly thing. So thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you all next week.
Yep, y'all have a great night.
All right, good night, everybody.